The competitive scene says that the Sanguinary Priest just sucks. But in today's video, I'm going to convince you that actually, he is a complete terror. This all started when a friend of mine, YouTuber Blood Angel Commander, sent me a message. I'm a huge fan of his content, and I think he's just brilliant. We actually have a lot in common, because we both play Blood Angels. In his message, he touched on a struggle that all Warhammer players can understand.
Brothers, you know when you're looking at a Warhammer character over and over, and you're not convinced it fits in your army, you're not even convinced its rules are any good, that's when I take myself over to YouTube. So I found this channel, Warhammer Math, and apparently this guy Blake is going to be able to help me out. So let's test my theory. Dear Blake, help me with my hatred of the Sanguinary Priest. He's 75 points, he's a 4-wound model, no invuln, and he just has a chainsword. He only attaches to one dedicated melee unit, which is the Assault Intercessors. Does it make sense to attach him to anything else? And is there a Death Ball combo that we should be running as part of a Blood Angels army? Like, is there something that I am missing with this character? I did a video recently that said someone actually won a tournament with this character, so that's why I'm writing to you now.
So he's describing the problem of, how do I justify playing my favorite models? Like my Sanguinary Priest. So that's what I'm doing today. I love the Sanguinary Priest, I especially love my little Corbulo here, and I want to justify being able to use him. Turns out, I can do the math, and it wasn't really hard to justify. In fact, if you think you might see one of these guys across the table, this video is your official warning. Before we go too far, I just want to get the news up to speed. My name's Blake, and I've written a custom program that takes an attacking unit and a defending unit, and then simulates the attack between them a million times. That way we can see the entire distribution of results. That's what we're looking at today. We finally get to talk about my old friend, the Sanguinary Priest. And I am so excited because I have not really run one very often since 9th edition, where he was really a staple in my army.
Oh my God, when he was with your flying castle. God, I hated that. It was 10 Vanguard veterans and your Sanguinary Priest.
Yeah, all with storm shields. It was fantastic. Yeah, he gives them a 5-up feel no pain, and he gives them +1 AP. Ooh. And last edition, you could give him a jump pack, which is why I took him all the time.
I really like your jump pack model. I think we still have a clip of it from the Army Showcase.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I'm showing it off right now. Here's my original Sanguinary Priest.
I bet you'll forget.
Also the same generation of this Corbulo model.
It probably won't come. It probably won't be on screen.
Yes, it will. Shut up.
Okay, cool. So what about him?
So the Blood Angel Commander also loves this model.
Dude, I love his content.
I know. His content is really good. He was literally the first creator that I watched as I was learning how to play this game again, and I got back into it during pandemic. And he really helped me figure out how to play Blood Angels. So I am really grateful to him.
Also, he's just a really cool dude.
He is a really cool dude.
That's so sick. Okay, yeah. Did you fangirl a little bit when you got to talk to him?
Yeah, a little bit. I tried not to embarrass myself.
What did you look like? Show me. Show me the hidden fangirl at that moment.
Yep. Also, check out the new improved, not two-dimensional Sisters Chibi Sisters shirt thing. Buy it.
It really helps.
Link in the description. Really helps the channel. We like that. If you like this content, please buy a Chibi shirt. Thank you.
What a seamless reference. Yeah. This shirt is exactly.
Yeah, I was totally the Chibi sister for a minute. Yeah, so he loves this model. I love this model. We both wanted to run it in 10th edition, but it just didn't seem as viable. But the more I think about it and the more I look into it, the more I feel like he actually could have a place in my army.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just in a slightly different role. Okay. So that's what we're going to look at today. How can we use the Sanguinary Priest? Is he a viable option? And is he worth his points?
Okay. And the Blood Angel Commander disagrees with you?
Well, he's been looking for a way to use it and hasn't felt compelled to so far.
Okay, so you're going to try and convince him with this video.
I'm going to try and convince him.
Okay, cool.
Because I've already convinced myself. So, here's his data sheet. He is, by himself, he seems a little unimpressive for a character. He moves 6 inches, toughness 4, 3-up save, 4 wounds, 6-up leadership, and OC 1. So he's a basic intercessor with twice as many wounds.
Yes, but he gets an Absolver bolt pistol.
He gets an Absolver bolt pistol, which is strength 5 and damage 2, which is, that's not bad. That's pretty cool. And he's also got a chainsword, but he gets 5 attacks instead of 4, so he's a little extra fast with that chainsword.
Okay.
So yeah, he's kind of like an upgraded intercessor, but what he really brings to the squad is this. He gives the entire squad that he's with a feel no pain 5-up.
Wow. Okay.
Or a 5-up feel no pain, which is essentially a 50% increase to their durability.
So this was the same as in 9th edition. That part has remained.
Actually, both of these have remained. The only thing he lost was the jump pack.
Oh,
because
that's
he
why.
also gives the squad that he's running with 1 additional AP on their melee weapons. And he's 75 points.
That's not bad.
So yeah, he's on the cheap side. He's a little bit fragile-ish, but again, I mean, if he's leading the squad, he's got that feel no pain. So, you know, he's a little bit harder to pick out with precision weapons.
Right. And then back in the day, you'd give him a squad of Vanguard veterans with storm shields too.
Which is not something I can still do.
Yeah, that sucks. But man, was that unit mean. It was so hard to chew through them. It was redonkulous.
I'd always give him the enhancement so that if you fell back from him, you had to take a desperate escape test.
That's such bullshit.
Which, by the way, is still an option if you are in Liberator Assault Group.
Ah, the Liberators.
Oh. It's a little slower, but that's okay.
Do you remember the name of the enhancement?
I do not.
I bet it was something fun.
Most likely, yes. It's been a while. All right, so this guy can lead a number of units: Assault Intercessors, Desolation Squads, Devastator Squads, Hellblaster Squads, Infernus Squads, Intercessor Squads, Stern Guard Veteran Squads, and Tactical Squads.
Wow, that's a lot of options.
Yeah, but as the Blood Angel Commander mentioned, there's only 2 of these that are... There's really only 1 dedicated melee squad, which is the Assault Intercessor Squad. The question is, can he be paired with Stern Guard Veterans?
Does he give extra AP to all weapons or just close combat weapons?
Just melee weapons.
Okay, because otherwise I'd be looking at those Infernus Marines. I'd be like,
no. Yeah, that would make a huge deal, a huge difference in a lot of these things. So the Assault Intercessors are the most obvious choice. You'd probably want to take a unit of 10 because the bigger the unit, the more his buffs matter. And a unit of 10 of them is only 150 points. So the Assault Intercessors and him together come in at 225.
That still feels like it's starting to be a bigger chunk.
It is, but it's also not like Death Ball levels. Like this is kind of like, you know,
Chonky Chonk Squad.
Yeah, Chonk Squad, but not like Death Ball Squad.
That's true.
So the thing to remember here is that the priest is adding 50% to the cost of the unit.
That's pretty rough.
Well, you say that, but that to me, that just means that's the benchmark. In order for him to be worth his points, he needs to make the squad 50% better.
Okay.
And again, that's assuming that 10 Assault Intercessors is something that you want to run with anyway. And some people are with some success. I actually really like Assault Intercessors because they re-roll their wound rolls against things that are on objectives. And they always get to re-roll 1s to wound. And, you know, as when you're already playing Blood Angels, that can be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think since I've heard you talking about this episode, you've sort of schemed on having 10 Assault Intercessors just so you could go with your boy.
Yeah, I've been running 5 Assault Intercessors for a while just to use as like either, you know, a backfield threat or just something I can throw on an objective early that's kind of threatening but also really cheap because they're only 75 points.
Right.
But I think running 10 of them would be really sweet.
I feel like Assault Intercessors are a really tasty option for Blood Angels.
Yeah, especially for Blood Angels.
They're kind of meh for the rest. They're like, all right, yeah, this feels like battle line troops. But for Blood Angels, they don't feel like battle line troops anymore.
Agreed. So the other option is Stern Guard Veterans. But here's the thing. Stern Guard Veterans have a lot of their damage output invested in range.
Can you remind me exactly with Blood Angels, you get on the charge, you get +2 attacks and +1 strength
in Liberator Assault Group.
And yes. Oh, okay.
And if you're in Angelic Inheritors, if there is a character in the squad, which actually makes it more valuable in my opinion, then you get to reroll 1s to hit and reroll 1s to wound, but the squad already rerolls 1s to wound, so that seems like a little bit of a waste.
Right. I was just trying to remember exactly why the Assault Intercessors were so scary in yours. Oh, yes, because they are all Strength 6.
Well, Strength 6, and then reroll 1s to wound anywhere. So against infantry, they're usually wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then if they're on an objective,
nuts.
they're probably going to be wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s and 2s.
That's mean as hell. That That
Yeah.
is so mean.
Totally.
Okay.
I absolutely love that.
So possibly
So-
Sternguard, but they're all
So,
shooty
by the way,
boys.
I would encourage you guys to take a look at our Sternguard veteran video because we kind of talked about how they can be used as a melee threat, which is kind of surprising, but also crazy when you pair them with a captain.
Yes, it was with the captain. I remember. That's so weird.
Mhm. But the thing is, like, a good chunk of their damage comes from shooting, or a good chunk of their utility comes from pairing them with a mean melee captain or a mean melee character, because then they can grant him reroll wounds. Which, again, the assault intercessors also do that. It's just you have to be on an objective. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, he does add some durability to the Sternguard veteran squad, and all their melee weapons are AP 0. So it is true that adding an additional pip of AP is more valuable the lower your initial AP is.
Right.
But because so much of their damage output is at range and not at melee, I don't feel like that's a worthwhile option. Because I don't see people taking bricks of 10 Sternguard veterans in the first place. They mostly use them to buff other characters.
Right.
Or smaller squads to like do things or do some shooting. So
they really are a bodyguard unit.
Yeah. So I don't really feel like he pairs with the Sternguard veterans. I do think that you could potentially make an argument for 10 Sternguard veterans and a captain and him, but then I feel like you're kind of making the squad into something other than what it really wants to be. So I think you could totally run that way. I think that could be really fun, but I don't think it's as good an option as the 10 assault intercessors. So what I'm going to argue is that the real way to run them is just the 10 assault intercessors with him. I don't think they need anything else. And you're going to see they put out quite a bit more damage than I thought they would.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That extra AP really helps.
It really helps.
It really helps. Personally, I'm interested in using the unit kind of half as a tar pit unit and half as a brawler unit. So I don't think that's why I think the captain does not fit in there, because like they're quite durable. They're approaching the durability of like a Terminator squad.
When you give them a 5-up, feel no pain.
Yeah, and some other things that I will talk about, but they are not easy to remove.
Oh, so you're suggesting that what you soon will explain has this high durability.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So with that, I want to talk about a couple of potential enhancements, because there's really only 2 detachments that are used by Blood Angels at this point. It's Liberator Assault Group, which is most players. You could give this unit speed of the Primarch so that they could have a once per game fights first, which would be really useful on a slower unit like this. But on the other hand, speed of the Primarch is an enhancement I usually like to put on a jump pack unit that I'm going to be sending somewhere in my opponent's, deeper into their lines where they are not going to be able to shoot them very well. So because I very frequently use this enhancement in that way, that is my only reluctance to give it to this squad, even though I think this squad could really benefit from it.
Fights first is so mean.
It's
We saw
so mean.
in that last
especially-
video how it can flip all things on their heads.
Yeah.
Fights first means like order of operations has changed. All of our math needs to reflect that. That's it. It's yeah.
Yeah.
If you didn't see that last video with the Demon Primarchs, fights first makes a big difference and really complicated that hierarchy of Primarchs.
I love fights first.
That was cool. I hate it.
The other enhancement that you can use in Liberator Assault Group, which is the one that I would be much more tempted by, is the Icon of the Angel. So if a unit tries to fall back from them, they have to make a desperate escape. And if they're already battle shocked, then they make that desperate escape at -1. So basically anything falling back from it is going to lose a third of its models. So especially if you tag a couple of units to try and keep them safe from shooting, your opponent is going to be reluctant to remove them.
And with a squad of 10 32mm boys, you can span a pretty big distance.
Oh yeah. Very frequently I feel like you can tag 2 units with this.
Wow, that would be so annoying.
I know.
And you have to, in order for anyone to fall back, they have to desperate escape at a -1.
Well, -1 if they're battle shocked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still though,
Yeah, so if they're battle shocked, they're losing half of their models.
I still struggle with the battle shock mechanism because I feel like it matters not at all until all of a sudden it is critical. It really significantly matters
based on random rolls. Yeah, I'm really hoping they're going to fix that in 11th edition.
But the reason I struggle with it is because part of me feels like that's cool,
Hmm.
that there's a little bit of random effect because you really can't plan for everything. And like occasionally, sabotage of all your plans is kind of fun.
Yeah,
Keeping
that's
everyone
why
on the
this
back
game is
foot.
awesome.
Right?
You never really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes things just go sideways.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're using if you're using angelic inheritors, and there are 2 enhancements that I think are nice.
The blazing icon.
The blazing icon for 20 points makes it so this unit can't be overwatched. That is situationally huge. But, you know, I don't know about that. I feel like if you had 20 extra points, that could be nice.
Yeah, that could be clutch. On your Eldar, it's infuriating. That you can just arbitrarily be like, yeah, this unit is not overwatchable by anybody this turn. Like,
because
I
if
get
you
it.
overwatch with anything, they're all gone.
No, I get it. I get it. It makes sense, but it is nonetheless infuriating. Okay, tell me about Prescient Flash.
And Prescient Flash is the other one that I think I'd be more tempted by. So you can give the unit Scout 6, and because the way that I would want to use them, they want to get towards the midfield quickly. I feel like this would be really useful just for staging them appropriately.
I feel like scout moves are something that matter a lot, but I've not always figured. I've not often used scout units. The only scout unit I think I have is for Chaos Space Marines is the Felgar Beastmen. I don't have any. I've literally never run them. But as I think in my mind, I'm like, I can't think of a really good way that I would use them. Because, well, okay, so you scout after you find out who goes first, right?
Exactly.
So I guess that means you could discover, oh, I'm going first, I'll blitz to the midfield, or, oh, I'm going second, I'll run over here to this cover. Is that kind of the idea?
Well, the way I think of it is that, you know, oftentimes there are a limited number of places to put your units so that they're safe when you're deploying. Having a scout move allows you to put them somewhere where they're in the open and then can scout to cover. So essentially, you can stage them somewhere that you can't stage anyone else and still keep them safe.
Interesting. So it sort of expands your the safe places you can put things. Maybe that's a good way to think about using it because that could be really useful.
Yeah, I think a unit that has infiltrate and scout is definitely different. But if they have to be deployed in your deployment zone, then I just look at it as, oh, great, now I can actually place this unit in places that I can't put other stuff, which is especially useful if you've got, like, you know, a unit of 12 32 millimeter bases.
Right.
Like, it can be really annoying if you're like, I guess I'll put them front and center, and my other things that want to move up will be further back now.
Yeah, all of that is annoying. I feel that as orcs a lot.
So I just feel like that increases the number of places where you can deploy your units.
Expands your safe deployment zone.
Exactly.
Totally.
That's how I see it. So again, if I was using Liberator Assault Group, I would be especially tempted by Icon of the Angel. I don't think it's an absolute must, but I think that could be really nice, and I intend to run them that way. If I was an Angelic Inheritors, I'd be more tempted by Prescient Flash.
Icon of the Angel. It's just a binky. No, that would be if they were all
Icon of the Cherub.
Icon of the Cherub. A boob.
All right. Let's take a look at their durability, because that's really what I think people think of most when they think of apothecary type units.
Right, is increasing the durability or reviving guys. But since reviving is not a thing.
Oh, it is.
Well, not for the
for this guy. Regular apothecary does revive guys.
Right.
Yeah. But this guy gives your unit a 5-up feel no pain, which is 50% more durable. So they're just going to be, removing your 10 intercessors is going to be more like removing 15 intercessors.
Why would that not be the case of a 4-up feel no pain?
Because then that would double their durability, because it would take twice as many shots to kill them. Think of it as reciprocals.
Yes,
he's saving 1/3 of the wound, so you're only taking 2/3 as many, and if you take the reciprocal, that's 3 halves.
That makes sense.
So 50% more durability.
Gotcha.
Actually, I'm really glad you asked that question, because that's something that's going to come up multiple times.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay.
The other thing to remember is that one of the things people love to use to kill Marines are damage 2 weapons. Because it's a 5-up feel no pain, he increases their durability even further against damage 2 weapons.
Because that means he's canceling a second wound oftentimes because the attack doesn't
because if
over.
Either of those dice end up being a 5-up, then you've only taken 1 damage, which means the next 2 damage attack only is going to take 1 damage.
That is, by canceling 1 damage of the first attack, you've also canceled 1 damage of the second attack that followed it.
Yes.
So it's effectively twice as effective.
Well, The math is a little bit challenging because it's like, how often are you going to roll one? How often are you going to roll two? How often are you going to get those in succession? So I actually had to run some simulations so that I could figure out or estimate how much that increases the durability.
Because it might have actually, your Feel No Pain might have legitimately applied to the next attack also, and therefore 2 Feel No Pains each canceled 1 damage.
Yeah.
So a Feel No Pain that is successful after the Feel No Pain before is effectively moot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, you could totally have calculated this out, but I'm not a pure math person. My background is in physics. We're the lazy math people. So I just ran some simulations.
Yeah, cool.
And I found that against damage 2 weapons, he actually increases their durability by 69.8%. So basically, yeah. So like 70% more durable. So against damage 2 weapons, it's more like you're trying to remove 17 models.
Wow.
And if you include his 4 wounds, it's more like you're trying to remove 19 models.
Whoa! So he really turns a damage 2 weapon off.
Yeah. That said, against damage 3 weapons, he only increases their durability by 27.9%.
Right, because you'd have to have 2 of your Feel No Pains go through to save even a single guy. So really, there's...
Exactly. Yeah. Although, rolling 2 5-ups out of 3 dice is not as improbable as I thought.
Oh, this is why you brought
That's
that
why
up.
I mentioned that the other day.
Yeah, you said there was a 25% chance of rolling 2 5 or higher.
It's something like
25%.
Yeah.
That does seem higher than I would have thought.
It does seem high, but I did the math. It's not exactly 25%. I'm ballparking it because I don't remember the number and didn't write it down. So the other thing to keep in mind is that he does have 4 wounds. So he's like 2 Intercessor bodies.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is his durability buff goes away if you kill the rest of his squad, and then he's just a dude with a chainsword with an extra attack. So I feel a little bit weird adding that into the durability.
Yeah. I actually feel weird about the fact that losing your squad means you lose the... Like all these HQ units say, while this unit is leading another unit, or while this model is leading a unit. And I really feel like it should be, if this model started the game leading a unit, then it should get the buff. It should lose the buff that the squad conveyed to them, but it should keep its own.
I feel like they could just add in one tag that's just like every character counts as leading their own unit.
Like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's leading a unit of him.
That's right. That would require less of a patch.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So he's got 4 extra wounds. So that is, towards the end of their lifespan on the battlefield. Having a couple extra models can be nice. So that's worth considering. Sometimes 1 OC makes all the difference.
But he has no Feel No Pain once you get to those 4.
Yeah, that's true. So the other thing to keep in mind that I think a lot of people don't realize is that his durability buff actually compounds with other durability buffs. So, for instance, if you play Armor of Contempt on his unit, well, yeah, it's -1 AP to incoming attacks, which means those things will do less damage, but also those damage are harder to get through because there's also a Feel No Pain. So they compound. So if you were to play like Armor of Contempt or Go to Ground or just give them cover, check out what this does to their durability. Against AP1 weapons, they now have 125% durability buff.
Plus 125%.
Plus 125% compared to the just plus 50% you would get from just plain old Armor of Contempt or Go to Ground or Cover.
Damn.
Versus AP2, it's 100% increase. Versus AP3, it's 87.5% increase.
Wow. So Armor of Contempt, the same way you want to use it on your Terminators, you want to use it on your squad that's got the Feel No Pain Sanguinary Priest.
Yeah, and something I'm definitely using, because I feel like Go to Ground is kind of underutilized. If they're in the open, 100% I'm using Go to Ground.
Remind me what Go to Ground does?
Basically, your squad just gets the benefit of cover and gets a 6-up invulnerable save.
Wow.
So,
I feel like I forget about the original stratagems a lot, the sort of generic ones.
Yeah, I've been playing with some newer players recently just to kind of, just because I love being part of the community and because I love sharing it with other people, and realizing that a lot of people I've been playing with kind of forget about a lot of the basic stratagems other than command reroll.
Honestly, bro, could we do a short episode sometime where we just cover those and like which ones are underutilized? I feel like I personally would really benefit from that.
Yeah, we can talk about the math of these things.
That would be really cool.
Go to Ground, a lot of people will just use Armor of Contempt when they could use Go to Ground, and Armor of Contempt is against one attacking unit. Go to Ground is for the rest of the phase.
In certain circumstances, that's a big difference.
That's way better.
Yeah.
If you're in the open.
Wow.
So if I have a unit that I might want to be holding an objective that's in the open because I'm trying to score extra points, like a big old brawler unit,
yeah.
go to ground becomes really valuable. Yeah. I mean, only works at range, but still.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So,
okay. I'm feeling increasingly convinced. I'll bet you'll hit the Blood Angel Commander with this, and you might convince him.
Dude, against AP1 and AP2, doubling their durability.
Dude.
Yeah.
That is an annoying unit all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
For 225 points, and you just can't get rid of them.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. I would love to see a number of bolt gun attacks breakdown. Hey, just to contribute again to my case for the Sanguinary Priest, it would take 7,000 laser pistols. Lays. I'm so confused about the lays and las now. Anyway.
What do you mean? They're lays guns and lays cannons.
No, they're definitely that.
Yeah.
They're definitely
I'm not
that.
confused. All right, so significant increase to their durability, and especially if you decide to give them other durability buffs, which I would recommend, they really benefit from those things well.
Right.
Because, again, not all buffs in the game compound, but if they act on different mechanisms, they do.
Right.
Comment for the comment god.
Likes for the like throne. The other thing that I wanted to take a look at was essentially how the Sanguinary Priest buffs their damage output.
Right, because it's not just, although he does increase their durability, he also gives them extra AP.
Right, he gives them extra AP, which is fairly significant. He has 5 chainsword attacks himself, and if you're in Liberated Assault Group and you charge, that's an additional 6 chainsword attacks. That's something like an additional 12 or 13%.
6.
In terms of just number of chainsword attacks you get, in addition to the fact that he gives them all an additional AP. And so I made a really quick table of the melee unit or melee weapons in the squad, which is just chainswords and power fists, mostly chainswords. So if you're attacking something with a 2-up save, it's a 50% increase, 3-up save, 33% increase, 4-up save, 25% increase.
Right.
So it's going to have a less
assuming
of an impact.
no invols.
Yes. The other thing is, like, the Power Fist does do a significant amount of damage for the squad, but it is not most of the damage, and that gets a little bit less of a buff. 33, 25, 20, etc.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But the thing to remember is that, like, if your opponent plays Armor of Contempt, for instance, like, you can essentially just bump these up one more category.
Right.
So
right.
if your opponent does have like an AP debuff, then this is even more significant.
Right. You can see this right here. AP1 and AP2 is really just slid over one column.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had played Armor of Contempt, it would just slide back over again.
Yeah, they'd essentially both slide over.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like if you had some Terminators that played Armor of Contempt, you'd get double damage against them.
Right.
Which is huge. And the other thing to remember, again, as you mentioned, is that all of these buffs compound. So if you play like Oath of Moment and you get a 33% buff, you're getting a 33% buff on top of this 50% buff or this 33% buff.
Right. So you actually multiply them together.
Yeah, so it'd be 33% of 133%.
1.3 times 1.5.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, what is that?
I don't know.
I don't math.
And then additionally, like if you, for instance, give them +1 to wound or a lethal hits, this will, again, compound even further.
Right.
So that's the thing to remember is that, yeah, he gives the squad some buffs, but also all those buffs compound with all the other buffs that you can give the squad.
Right. There's a cascade. Each time you add a new thing, it's cascading and affecting. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to see as we start going through some of these simulations, but that ends up being pretty darn significant.
I feel like this is actually one of the biggest errors I was making when I first started playing Warhammer. I'm still not very good, but I would always want to take the buffs that I had available to me and sort of like distribute them. I'd be like, well, I already gave them an enhancement, so let me like do something over here. Instead of thinking about the fact that concentrating your buffs creates a multiplicative effect and therefore a much more significant benefit. Yeah. So I always wanted to distribute, and now I'm like, no, I need to make death balls. I need to make sharp points to attack with because they compound, as you're saying here. That's a big Good point.
Although the other thing I'll mention is that all the things that are compounding with this are not enhancements. They're not things that are inherent to the squad, which means I can distribute to them to this squad when I want them. And when I want to put them somewhere else, I can. So the other point that I really want to make here is that the buff that this unit really wants is actually Oath of Moment. And I think this is a really significant point.
And in Blood Angels, this is going to be Divergent, which means just reroll hits.
Just reroll hits. But the reason for this is because a lot of things in my army want to use Red Rampage. They want that +1 to wound and potentially access to lethals.
Right.
That's very important, but I can only give it to one squad per turn. But the thing with Oath of Moment is Oath of Moment, I sometimes wonder where to put as a Blood Angels player because, I mean, the Death Company already rerolls hits, so they don't need it. The Sanguinary Guard now, which used to be where I used my Oath of Moment, now hits on 2s, which means they're only getting a 16.7% buff from this. So Oath of Moment is not optimally used against them. And then, you know, for my anti-tank, I prefer taking Ballistus Dreadnoughts, which don't need Oath of Moment in the early game because they already reroll their hits against things that are above half damage. So everything wants to use Red Rampage, and nothing else really wants to use Oath of Moment.
I think I see what you're getting at.
This is fantastic because the buff they want is the buff that the other squads really don't want.
Yeah.
So it allows you to utilize something that, in my opinion, in my particular army and in the way that I build my lists, tends to be kind of underutilized.
Right. You're turning an already present asset that's not doing much into something greater because you have a fantastic platform for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the unit that needs exactly reroll hits.
Yeah, because they're already rerolling wounds.
They're already rerolling wounds. They already have +2 strength. They already have crap loads of attacks. Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
The other thing to mention is because they already reroll their wounds, Red Rampage actually does less for this squad than it does for other squads.
So they don't want Red Rampage,
as
which
much.
is generally a pretty hot commodity for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they really do want Oath of Moment, which for you is otherwise kind of not that useful.
Exactly.
That is an interesting conclusion.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's really, really useful to have different units on the board that prefer different buffs because then you actually can spread them out more efficiently.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which leads me to a general conclusion for other Space Marine players is like, oh, well, can you build other units that don't require Oath of Moment? Because that way you can better utilize, you know, your resources. That's
totally.
You're really smart, you know.
Yeah, sometimes.
You're good at this.
All right. So I think at this point we're going to do some simulations.
That's it. Wait, go back. What does that say? Assault Intercessors. Is that Oath of Moment?
Yep, they get Oath Moment.
Oath Moment. Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to take a moment to shout out all the patrons because we love doing this, but this takes a lot of resources and a lot of time. Without their support, this would not be happening. So thank you so much to all the patrons. So obviously, if you've been enjoying the content, a like, a subscribe, a comment, all those things really help us out. But the Patreon is really where it's at. That's really what helps us keep the studio open. So if you'd like to support us, do that. Also, we love you. Old Man Hands is a sexy biatch. That sounds weird. I didn't say any of that on camera. So now we're going to go ahead and do some simulations just so that you can see how much damage these things actually do.
Okay, so we're about to simulate 10 Assault Intercessors in Liberator Assault Group.
In Liberator Assault
With
Group.
the Sanguinary Priest.
What we're going to do is we're going to compare because I'm going to run this. Essentially what I want to do is I want to do basic 10 Assault Intercessors, basic Assault Intercessors with Oath of Moment, and then basic Assault Intercessors with Oath of Moment and Red Rampage.
But all three in Liberator Assault Group. So
all in Liberator Assault Group. And then we're going to do the same thing if you include the Priest so we can see the difference.
Wow. Okay. So it sounded like, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to explain this as we go.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a little easier. All right, so if I just have 10 Assault Intercessors, well, that's where we're going to start.
Yeah. It's fine,
so whatever. If I just have Assault Intercessors with no Sanguinary Priest and no buffs whatsoever, they're going to kill about 27 orcs between 24 and 29.
These are Blood Angel.
Yes, everything here is Blood Angels.
Okay.
Because Sanguinary Priest only runs with Blood Angels.
Yes, this is a duh.
They do love murdering orcs. That is something they do pretty well.
Yeah.
Now,
Strength 6 against toughness 5 is tasty.
Mm-hmm. Whoops. So
Hi, Tanya.
the next graph is going to be if we add in Oath of Moment, which should give them basically a 33% buff. Oh, actually, exactly a 33% buff.
Right.
Because it
Reroll
applies
hits.
to everything. In which case, they're killing more like 36 orc boys between 34 and 38. Again, pretty darn consistent, which is also very nice.
Yes, those are sharp spikes.
Mm-hmm. And then, again, this squad doesn't benefit from Red Rampage nearly as much as other squads do. So I added that in as a last piece, and you're going to kind of see this relationship change around as we change targets. But if we add in Red Rampage also, actually, specifically, I should say, we're adding in Lance, but not lethals.
Right, because you don't want the lethals?
I only ever use the lethals if I'm wounding on something on 6s or maybe 5s.
Right.
If I'm wounding on better than 5s, I'm never taking lethals. And especially if I'm going to be like rerolling hits and stuff, like I think the lethals are just a lot less valuable on these guys.
Okay, so this is Assault Intercessors with Oath of Moment and Red Rampage, which what you're suggesting is not probably what you would do, though.
Well, you can see like the difference between Oath of Moment and Red Rampage is
Tiny.
not very significant.
Dink.
Because they're already wounding on 3s and rerolling their wounds. Oh, also importantly, I did assume that we're on an objective for all of these simulations.
Right.
And again, for how do I say this? For every value that you're not re-rolling, you lose some of your output. So in this case, like if you were not on an objective, you'd only be re-rolling 1s to wound, not 1s and 2s to wound, which would result in 7/8 as much damage.
Right.
That's a little bit of an annoying calculation to explain.
No, well, I think people get it.
Yeah,
and also,
so,
I think you're right to assume that this unit is going to be going after midfield objectives.
yeah, and sometimes things are not going to be on objectives, but it's less of a detriment than you think because you're re-rolling 1s to wound anyway. Mm-hmm. All right, so now if we do this exact same thing, but I use something with the Sanguinary Priest in it. So this first one is going to be Assault Intercessors with no buffs except for the Sanguinary Priest. He's way up there already. He's killing 35 orcs between 33 and 38, which is a 30% increase.
Each dude is killing 3.8 orcs. They're just massacring.
And I would like to point out
average,
that because these orcs only have a 5-up save, this is the least buff that he is going to give the squad. This is
worst case scenario.
This is worst case scenario in terms of the buffs he's going to give.
And it's still that much. Wow.
30%.
Are we going to do other benchmarks beyond orcs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
The other thing I want to remind you guys, I ran out of space on the screen, so I couldn't put down essentially the buffs, or I couldn't put down like the results for every individual weapon. I am including their bolt pistols, but the bolt pistols don't contribute significantly.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine.
I mean, they make a difference, but it's not very big. And his additional AP does not apply to that.
Right.
So if you were not including their shooting, then he would actually provide an even bigger buff proportionally.
Technically, proportionally, a slightly bigger buff than here.
So if I were to give the squad Oath of Moment with the Sanguinary Priest, now they're killing 47 orcs between 45 and 49.
What the
Again,
hell?
Still a 30% increase.
That's all of my boys. That's almost all the boys I have.
Yep, in one fell swoop. Although I can only Oath of Moment one of them.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so there's definitely going to be some overkill here. And then if I add in Red Rampage as well for Lance.
Just for funsies?
Yeah.
What the
Now
butts?
they kill 51 orc boys between 49 and 53.
In a million simulations, the least that they killed was 49 orc boys.
No, that's the 25th percentile.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that tail carries a little
So
further.
75% of the time they kill at least 49. But again, look at this difference.
Wow.
Like you're just significantly increasing essentially the ceiling on how much you can do. And again, like proportionally these are the same, but if you look at the difference between like the spike for just the Naked Squad and Oath of Moment compared to here, Naked Squad and Oath of Moment, I mean, it's the same size proportionally, but look at the size of that freaking jump because it's compounding on something that's already doing a lot more damage.
Right. That is crazy. That's a huge difference. I also am fascinated to see that by the end, because the extra damage is because you're basically re-rolling everything at this point, that spike is so sharp now.
That's true.
That the lowest, 25th percentile is still 49 boyz. Like, it does not taper. Bonk! Like, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, they're pretty freaking reliable. There's something else I'm really liking about this.
Wow, yeah. All of these are very reliable ranges.
So now let's go into Intercessors, something with a better armor save.
Right.
Something that you're, I think, going to see more often on midfield objectives.
Yeah. Is it chaos?
So no, I'm actually using all Space Marine units after this.
That's probably better for a battle.
So in terms of basic Intercessors, again, this is just the basic squad without a priest, without any buffs. They're going to kill like 9 Intercessors between 8 and 10.
Wow.
You give them Oath of Moment, and now they're killing like 12 Intercessors between 11 and 13.
Okay.
Give them also Red Rampage. Again, this is not the biggest buff for them.
Does next to
now
nothing.
They're killing like 13 between 11 and 14.
Right.
But take the naked squad with the Sanguinary Priest.
Wow.
And now they're killing like 13 between 11 and 14. Essentially, naked with the Sanguinary Priest, they're doing as much damage as you're going to get from the maximally buffed naked squad.
The Oath of Momented and Red Rampaged basic squad is about equivalent to the squad with a Sanguinary Priest.
Dude, check this out. This is a 46% increase in their damage output.
Damn. Because all these graphs are starting at 0 on the left. Like, so as you see them creeping over to the right, that is absolute distance.
And again, look at what happens if you add in Oath of Moment. Now they're killing like 17 between 16 and 19. Add in Red Rampage, which again is the buff that I'm arguing they don't want as much. They're killing like 18 and a half between 17 and 20.
Wow.
And
so we see a trio here, 2 trios with and without the Sanguinary Priest. And then they start at the same point, or they start and end. They're overlapped on the end. And all of these, wow, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I try to color code these with like the bluer ones being the basic squad and the red yellow ones being the with the pre squad.
Oftentimes the superposition of the graphs is kind of hard to make out, but this is pretty obvious
because they were all nice bell curves.
Because
I said previously I would like never do this with more than 4 things, but I was like, well, these are all the same shape graph, so
this'll work.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Because
next?
what really surprised me is how much damage they can do into tougher targets. I was really not expecting these results.
Well, I feel like that's where the rerolls are really going to matter a lot. Because you're getting all these buffs through rerolls, so like this really affects that.
Well, against Terminators that have a 2-up save, again, they are especially effective against things that have 2-up saves.
Yeah, because that extra AP matters the mostiest at that point.
The naked squad is going to kill like 3.5 between 3 and 4.
Wow.
The naked squad with Oath of Moment kills like 5 between 4 and 6.
Wow.
So the naked squad by itself like wipes squads of Terminators, which is nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. And then if you give them Red Rampage, just another tiny little boost, like 5 1/3 between 5 and 6.
Okay, between 5 and 6. Now let's see these same 3 permutations plus Sanguinary.
Yeah. Now if I add in the Sanguinary Priest, he's actually, now the naked squad is doing better than the maximal buffed out squad by like a significant margin, because now you're killing like 6 between 5 and 7.
Wow.
58% increase in their damage output.
Wow.
Give them Oath of Moment. Now they're killing like 8 of them between 7 and 10. Again, frequently killing attached characters in addition now.
Wow.
Yeah, they're wiping squads that in one turn that cost more than they do.
I see down here on the right, you have plus 58, plus 57, plus 58. Those are of the compounded number, not of the original number again.
Essentially what I did was I compared the original number of deaths to the new number of deaths if you just add in the priest, so essentially the same conditions. And I'm like, if you have the same conditions, they get a 58.5% increase. These numbers should actually all be the same, because you're proportionally doing the same to all of the weapons. These are just a result of rounding errors because I only have 3 significant figures in these.
Right, but that I see 57% is less than 58% is because that's plus 57% of the already incorporated 58% from the previous stuff.
No. These should all be the same number because essentially going from naked squad to naked squad with priest, 58% increase. naked squad with Oath of Moment to priest squad with Oath of Moment.
Oh, those are percentages over their equivalent of the last trio.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah. And if I had included more significant figures, these numbers should all be the same.
That's why it is. I see. That makes perfect sense why they're all identical, basically, too. Okay, I understand now.
And then finally, if we add in Red Rampage, again, not a significant increase. We're killing like 8.5 Terminators between 8 and 9. So again, I'm really trying to hit home. They benefit a lot from Oath of Moment and just a smidgen from Red Rampage.
So like, why waste that valuable asset, right?
Exactly.
They don't need it. They have access to much better.
Yep. And again, if we start going into much tougher targets like gladiators, things that are now have greater toughness than your strength.
I'm sorry. I'm excited to hear about that, but I'm just blown away that down there killing between 8 and 9 Terminators, your little squad of battle line troops just sprinted out and killed a full block of Terminators almost. I would crap myself.
Yeah. That's a lot of points they can remove.
I would crap. I'd be so sad if I watched that happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So now we're going to start seeing some different relationships as we're attacking things that have higher toughness.
Right.
So let's go into a gladiator tank. And again, on the right, we just have models killed. I feel like this is not going to be useful except for estimating the threshold of how likely you are to kill this thing.
Right.
So gladiator tank, again, I don't think that this is probably the target you're going to find in the midfield, but this is about things that are about this toughness.
Right.
So we got toughness 10, 3 up save, and 12 wounds. The basic squad of assault intercessors is going to do like 11.5 damage between 9 and 14, giving you pretty close to 50-50 odds of killing this thing already.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Gladiator Lancers also, as we discussed in the Space Marine anti-armor platforms thing, it's the least tough of the big stuff.
Well, actually, what I thought about doing, because I think like I feel like I'm more likely to see like a Redemptor Dreadnought or something like that in the middle.
Right. And that's where your 2-up is going to be in play.
Right.
Too.
But I didn't want to exaggerate that effect.
Right.
Because I didn't want to have too many 2-up save things in here because I was afraid it would make them look even better than they actually are.
Yeah. Well, also, I think your way like this is going to make it clear how much people really want the 2-up saves as targets.
Yeah. But even against 3-up saves, you're seeing a significant increase. And if we give them Oath of Moment, now they're doing, there's a little shift there, like 15.5 damage between 13 and 18.
Wow.
Very comfortably going to kill this gladiator.
Yep.
And if you also give them Red Rampage, which now does make more of a difference because you're only wounding on 5s, they're going to do like 20 damage between 17 and 23.
And remind me, Red Rampage does...
+1 to wound.
+1 to wound. So.
Now, it is a weird thing because, again, it's +1 to wound, so you're wounding on a lower value, but then you also re-roll less dice. So Red Rampage still has less of an effect on these guys than it does against other things, but I just want to show that you can push them further. But now, as you're wounding on 5s and 6s, like Red Rampage starts making a more significant impact.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm. Now, if we have just the Sanguinary Priest squad, just naked, they're going to be doing like 16.5 damage between 14 and 19. That's a 43% increase.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Give them Oath of Moment. Now they're doing like 22 damage between 20 and 25. Give them also Red Rampage. Now they're doing like 29 damage between 26 and 32.
So in certain circumstances, if they found themselves faced with the right target, you might still decide to stack Red Rampage on top of all this. Because if the target is tough enough, then, specifically the toughness characteristic is high enough, they might actually enjoy that too. Sounds like at that point, you really turned this into a secret death ball. Kinda. This is a secret undercover death ball unit.
Yeah. So kind of the way I'm looking at this is like, if you're going into infantry, do not bother with Red Rampage. They already love killing infantry. But if you need to kill something hard, you can buff them up to a higher peak.
Wow.
All right. The last one, which again really surprised me, is if we go into a Land Raider.
This is where it's going to be really evident.
Because now all the chainswords are strength 6, which means the chainswords are wounding on 6s. You are re-rolling all of your wounds, but you're wounding on 6s.
Yeah, so this is where getting +1 to wound is going to be super effective.
But it also has a 2-up save, which means
your +1 AP makes a big difference. This is maximum benefit from of both of their bonuses.
Yeah. So the naked Assault Intercessor squad is going to do like 5-ish damage to a Land Raider.
They're not going to kill it.
They're not going to kill it. You add in Oath of Moment, now they're doing like 6.66 damage between 5 and 8.
They're not going to kill it.
Yeah. Add in Red Rampage, they start looking a bit better. They're doing like 10.5 damage between 8 and 13, but your odds of killing this thing are still below 10%.
Yes.
However, you add in the Sanguinary Priest.
This is naked with Sanguinary Priest?
Naked with Sanguinary Priest. They're now doing like 7.5 damage between 6 and 10, 54% increase.
Wow.
Add in Oath of Moment, and now they're doing like 10 damage between 8 and 12.
That did basically nothing.
I mean, it was a 33% increase.
All right.
But yeah, so it increased the damage by a third. And then you add in Oath of Moment. And now this little assault squad is doing almost 19 damage between 14 and 19, meaning they've got like
a pretty good shot of killing
63% chance of killing a Land Raider on their own.
Wow.
Yeah. Now you imagine like on your way in, you throw grenades. Like I would feel pretty comfortable with that. You can literally use this 225 point unit and an extra CP.
2 CP.
Oh, 2 CP.
That's 2
that's
CP.
expensive. Yeah, but you can take down a Land Raider, especially if you soften it up with like a Ballistus or something.
Yeah, the Ballistus that already gets its rerolls and stuff. And if you picked Oath of Moment on that thing, then the Ballistus doesn't really care.
But again, like if you look at this cascade, like it's all a proportional increase. But like if you start at a higher value, you're going to end up at a much higher value.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think is the other thing to remember about this squad is that like, yeah, you did boost both their offense and defense with this guy, but you can compound both of those with other buffs, which makes all of those things more valuable.
Yeah, because they are the happy receiver of so many puzzle perfect fit together buffs that are available to you, they turn into something real mean. I'll bet you convinced. All right, I bet you the Blood Angel Commander now is on your team. I don't know though.
I can't wait to see what he says.
I don't know what would be more exciting, him agreeing or him disagreeing.
Well, I will say, I feel like the number one drawback with this squad is just that they are relatively slow.
Yeah.
I like to use jump packs everywhere. They do have access to advance and charge, which does make a difference, but they need to be somewhere where the enemy is coming to them.
Well, as you pointed out at the beginning of the video, though, they do have additional durability too, so maybe they can't get there super fast, but they're a little bit more likely to survive en route.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet.
So here are the takeaways. They are kind of slowish, but you have more than a 50% durability increase.
As a result of that 5-up Feel No Pain.
Maybe more than 100% increase if you're buffing them with AOC or Go to Ground or whatever.
Alexandria.
Especially if your opponent is using damage 2 weapons to try and kill your Marines.
Right. Your damage 2 weapons are 68% or something.
Yeah, like 70% more durable.
70% more durable against damage 2. That's sick.
Right. It depends on the target, but it's usually around a 40% increase in damage output against anything that's saving on like a 3 or better.
That's the AP?
Yeah, the AP and just his extra attacks.
His extra, okay, so you're kind of approximating across in close combat.
Yeah, I was just looking at the simulations we did, and I feel like a decent average is like 40-ish%.
He does like 40% additional damage. With
again, it's more like 50 to 60% if you're attacking things that have a 2-up save, but I feel like that's less likely.
Right.
Your opponents, unless your opponent doesn't know what's going on, they're probably going to avoid that circumstance.
Well, they might not know what's going on. I'll be honest, I wouldn't look at that unit and freak out.
Also, if your plan is just to march up a 2-up save unit into the midfield and you don't have enough flexibility in your army build, you might not have a good choice.
Somebody throws up their Redemptor, it's toast.
So here's the other thing. Having the priest in the squad gives you more than a 50% increase in their durability, especially if you're going to compound that with other durability buffs. He's getting like a 40-ish% increase in damage output. And that's, again, on top of any other damage buffs that you're going to give them. So as far as I'm looking at that, like they're going to live 50% longer. And while they're doing it, they're going to do 40%-ish more damage. So if I multiply those together, that's like more than twice as much damage over the course of the game.
I feel like you're applying the lesson of today, the multiplicative capacity of buffs,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking it to the higher degree and applying it to this. If you're going to live 40%, no, you're twice as long, no, 50% longer and do 40% more damage than 1.5 times 1.4. You're doing 2.1 times more work ultimately.
Exactly. So, but the way I'm looking at that is you're doing twice as much damage, more than twice as much damage for 50% more cost. So, yeah, that very much crosses my threshold of, are they 50% better? Yeah, they're twice as good.
And again, I really do feel like there's something to be said for them flying under the radar, not realizing how devastating they could be.
Yeah, especially for Blood Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then as you mentioned, like each one of them has 2 OC, which means they have a lot of weight on objectives. So they're hard to remove. And if you don't remove all of them, they're probably going to out OC you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I think I'm convinced. I don't run Blood Angels, but I'm freaking convinced.
Yeah. So again, I feel like the one drawback is they're not as fast as I want them to be. They do have access to advance and charge, but the one role where I feel like that just doesn't matter is if you are the midfield brawler unit. If your job is to go and take the midfield and kill whatever's there and survive, they do a great job. I would probably pair them with something else, like maybe some assault intercessors assault intercessors with jump packs so I could clear out chaff units. Because I don't want to, you want to commit them to the right time because they're not as flexible in terms of their movement.
Right.
But if you have something built in that allows you to essentially dissuade your opponent from throwing something cheap in front of them, or at least clear them if they do, I think they're perfect for this role.
Right. Wow.
Again, my preference would be to play Icon of the Angel with them on Liberator Assault Group to make them more of a tar pit unit so that things can't just pull out of combat and then they can keep themselves safe by just being continuously in combat. If I was playing Angelic Inheritors, I don't think the squad is nearly as good in Angelic Inheritors. Because
they don't get the +2 strength and +1 attack, do they?
Right. And then you're throwing away the reroll 1s to wound that you get from including a character because they already get that.
Right.
So I feel like this is much, much better in Liberator Assault Group.
Still a badass unit.
Still a badass unit, but less optimal. So the way I look at it is if you can find space in your list and you feel like you have a good use for 10 Assault Intercessors, then including him seems like a no-brainer. The only question is, like, can you find use in 10 Assault Intercessors? If you can make that play work in your list, then I would say absolutely include a Sanguinary Priest.
I heard through the grapevine that you might be painting up a Sanguinary Priest. Is there any chance that we could have a look at that?
Yes, I absolutely did paint a Sanguinary Priest. That's coming up in our next video. So excited for you guys to see it, so check that out.
I'm really excited about the prospect of getting to show off the way you painted your Sanguinary Priest because I think he's super cool, and I feel like we're kind of hoping to get a little bit more project stuff in the channel, right? So I guess if you're into it, please let us know. Like, how excited are you to see a project video? Maybe something in the vein of, we really like Miniscape. If you ever see Miniscape, like talking about old rules, talking about the history of the model, I think that's some stuff that I'd really like to do. And if we can get some of that on the channel, if that sounds interesting, definitely let us know in the comments because that sounds like a dream to me. Yeah. I really want to paint a Karamazov for Zach. Inquisitor Karamazov is easily the most grimdark model I've ever seen in my life. All right, well, I'm like really excited to see what the Blood Angel Commander, what he says about this. I think you convinced him. You convinced me. And again, I think he'll be easy to convince because he loves that. Who doesn't love the Sanguinary Priest? So we'll check out his channel. He should have a response coming up soon. So if you don't follow the Blood Angel Commander, definitely do so. He's brilliant and just a cool guy. And, we got to support the community. So do it.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what he says. He's going to respond in a day or two. And we'll go ahead and link that in the description.
Yeah. As soon as it's up, we'll link that in the description. So make it easy on you.
Yeah. All right.
No excuses. Love you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching another episode of Warhammer Math.
For the Emperor!
War Fiends, you guys are crushing it. Thank you for having me. Give these guys a like and a subscribe. Peace.